My name is Glenn. I'm a small business owner and UCP member who spent most of my life in Alberta. Alberta is not getting a fair deal in Confederation. A fair deal would look like federal and other provincial governments who support development, free trade, and market access for all of our resources and industries. To get a fair deal, Alberta should quickly take over taxes, pensions, policing, and all other programs being considered by your panel to create firewalls against this government and inevitable future hostile federal governments. We should plan for referendums on further moves away from the government if carbon tax and C-48 and C-69 are not repealed, and if a rapid completion date for TMX is not guaranteed, as well as moves made to revive Energy East and Northern Gateway. It's a mistake to put faith in polls saying a majority of Canadians support pipelines and oil as a sign that everything will just work out. East of Saskatchewan and in the Lower Mainland, pipeline support is not a top issue for any voter. On the other hand, there are millions of Canadians who strongly, but wrongly, believe that killing the Alberta energy industry is necessary to save the planet from carbon dioxide emissions. This emissions propaganda war, which has crippled our energy industry, has now begun against our livestock industry as well. All indications are that the Liberals intend to continue phasing out the oil industry. We need to take action now. A fair deal in Confederation would be great, but if that can't happen, we have to consider separation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
My name is Lloyd Lubner. I live in Cochrane, Alberta. And as you can see, I'm a Canadian Army veteran. For the past several years, as a direct result of the intentional destruction of our energy industry caused by the economic policies of first the Alberta NDP government in collusion with the Trudeau government, Albertans, myself included, have lost well over 100,000 jobs. Provincial unemployment is nearing 7%. Hundreds of small family businesses and companies have closed their doors, filed for bankruptcy, or simply walked away. Dozens of energy companies have moved to the United States, and many others are in such poor financial condition that they have become delisted by the Toronto Stock Exchange. Trudeau merely shrugs when told of these deplorable facts.
My name is Wendy Adams. I'm from Okotoks, Alberta. Alberta is the abused child of Confederation.
My name is Grant. I have to confess, I used to live in Ontario. And but whatever you decide to do to get Alberta a fair deal, put some teeth into it so that the rest of Canadians feel it in their pocketbooks. Because that's the only way people are going to stand up and pay attention and say, why do I have to pay X amount more because for gas or for my pension plan or whatever?
In Quebec now, 29 million tons of oil products are moved in and out of Quebec ports, and yet the West Coast tankers are banned.
Franco Terrazzano, Alberta Director for the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. Over $600 billion. That's how much more money Albertans have sent to the federal government, and by extension to the other provinces, than we have gotten back in return since 1961. But at the same time, we still have politicians in other provinces oppose our development in our time of most need. How is that fair? I think Albertans now understand that we're not going to get anything from onward the other provinces if we're not even willing to fight for it. And I firmly believe that Albertans are ready to fight for fairness. To be frank, there can be no fair deal for Alberta without us tackling equalization. I'd also like to move to the Canada Pension Plan, and there is some merit from withdrawing from the CPP. But if we are to withdraw, we should not merely recreate the program, we should reform it and improve it. Our Alberta government debt has recently passed $70 billion due to massive overspending over the years. None of these proposals give the government a blank check to overspend. Thank you so much.
I'm strongly in support of our provincial government taking steps to secure a better deal for Alberta. Unfortunately, prior to last spring's election, we had more than a decade of pretty bad governance in Alberta. To get things rolling, I'd like to see our government create a provincial pension plan, as Quebec has already done. This proposal has several attractive features. Number one, it represents real money. Reports by the Fraser Institute and by AIMCO indicate that it could mean a net gain to Albertans of $3 billion. Number two, it would demonstrate Alberta's serious intent. Decision makers in central Canada are unmindful of what's happening here in the West. Setting up an Alberta pension plan would get their attention. And number 3, our province needs to put some points on the board. This would give hope to long-suffering Albertans who are losing confidence in all levels of governance.
And as now, most Canadian provinces don't have fair and equal representation in the House of Commons. Canada belongs to everyone, not just to Ontario and Quebec. Equal power should be given to every province. Albertans wanted change with this last federal election. Liberals got in. Why? Because between our 3 provinces, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, we have only 62 seats. Between the other 2 provinces, Ontario and Quebec, they have 199 seats. This leaves us with no say. Is that a fair representation of all Canadians? No. No 2 provinces should have all that power to govern their agenda for all of Canadians. Ottawa, prove to Alberta that you do care what Albertans have to say. Not by promises, colorful words, or by your actions. Quit destroying Alberta's economy. Decade after decade has gone by and things don't change within our federal government. We have been given promises, told to wait, be patient. Albertans' tolerance has come to an end and we don't want to wait anymore.
My name is David Campbell. I'm the president of the Alberta Independence Party. Alberta has been blessed with an abundance of riches, which we have happily shared with Canada for many decades. When it recently came time to reciprocate this generosity and love, we have been told to pound salt by our eastern overlords. Although we are the economic engine of this country, we have been granted absolutely no say in our own destiny.
My name is Ruben Nelson. I love this province and I love this country. I was raised to take responsibility for the things I contributed to and clean up my own act before I hollered for others. We holler as if we've been done dirt. It's not fair. We want to make them stop. But in all of this discussion, there has never been a word about our contribution to the mess we're in. It reminds you that to this date, Alberta has never created a formal capacity to look into the emerging future so that we wouldn't be run over by history. And in my lifetime, we've been run over by history several times, and every time we've complained that they did it to us.
We don't have a bargaining tool right now. I think separation is the big tool.
I'm Maurice Pujol. We have 5 national parks. I think Alberta should make these Alberta parks, because if you want to get attention to the rest of Canada, just take some national parks away.
Peter McCaffrey from the Alberta Institute. The important thing to remember about equalisation is that equalisation isn't just bad for Alberta, it's bad for every other province as well. It's socialism for provinces. It transfers money from provinces that have good public policies, that grow their economies, create jobs, and stimulate their economies, to provinces that do not reform their policies. They keep bad policies, they don't extract their resources, and they implement bad things in their own provinces. And the incentives that creates are really terrible, because it means that if Alberta improves our policies, we lose a huge chunk of the benefit from improving our policies. And if Quebec, for example, not to name any specific province, were to improve their policies, they would lose many of the benefits they're currently receiving. So the incentives that are placed on politicians in provinces across the country are completely distorted by equalisation.
In the words of Liberal Senator Keith Davey, screw the West, we'll take the rest. We better wake up. Federalism is futile. If you want to give Jason Kenney a message, tell him the West wants out.
We're sharing with the rest of Canada, and we're really not. What we're doing is allowing other have-not provinces to remain have-not provinces. We're giving, not doing what they need to do to grow their economy. But if we're not serious about separation, it's gonna show. They're gonna see right through it, and we're gonna look pretty weak, and that's a terrible place to start bargaining from.
I feel that what I'm going to say here is not going to be popular in this room. I've spent almost all my life here. I'm an Albertan and a proud Canadian. I appreciate what Canada stands for, our beautiful mosaic country, home of the free and the brave. I recognize that right now, Alberta is struggling with jobs and etc., and we are looking for someone to blame. Unfortunately, we're blaming the governments. I believe that Alberta has been a downward spiral for decades. So what I ask of all Albertans is that we be kinder and more compassionate and have empathy for each other.
My name's Murray Fraser. There isn't any other country in the world that's trying to destroy one of their legitimate industries the way we are. It's just Canada. And within Canada, we're trying to destroy one industry and that's it. And it just happens to be Alberta's main industry that my ancestors worked in Turner Valley. And I've worked in and my father worked in. So what is it about Alberta that's so special within Confederation? I'm a Wexiteer or a separatist, and I think we could solve this problem and at least have some leverage in our negotiations with Ottawa if we had a legitimate walkaway option. Otherwise, it's just whining.
My name is Josh Anderson. I'm here with Private Federation. Section 121 of the Canadian Constitution reads that all articles of the growth, produce, or manufacture of any one of the provinces shall, from and after the Union, be admitted free into each of the other provinces. Now, I don't know how we can't get our product to Tidewater if that's in the Constitution, but it has received an incredibly restrictive interpretation by the courts.
My name is Gurpreet Bajwa, and I was not born in Canada. I've stayed on 4 countries, 3 different continents. With great regret, I must say that Canada is the only country which believes in weakening their own industry. It's primarily because of Mr. Trudeau. What is not fair is Mr. Trudeau and is more concerned about 2,000 jobs lost in Oshawa, but there's not even a peep when hundreds of thousands of jobs are lost in Alberta. That's sad.
All of these ideas that came out tonight and have been coming out in the last months or so, including, by the way, the one about the parks, I kind of like that one. I don't think any of this is going to work unless we are able to grab the minds, the hearts, and the souls of all Western Canadians to our cause. Unless we gather the support of Alberta, BC, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, I don't know if our cause is going to go very far. We can do that. We have the money to do that.
My name is Rob Anderson. The Alberta government must secure an equitable New Deal for Alberta within Confederation and simultaneously prepare the province to form a new nation in the event Ottawa refuses to agree to that New Deal. The status quo is not acceptable any longer. Alberta cannot survive this for another 10, 20 years.
My name is Daryl Madd. I love Alberta and Albertans, but I've fallen out of love with Canada. I'm an owner of an oilfield services company in Airdrie. We like to be referred to more as an employer these days rather than any other term for a corporation, as the key driver of our business in recent years has been primarily to preserve the livelihood of 20 people. We were once 30. We dream of a return to profitability, but that won't be anytime soon under the current mood of Canadians or the government they've chosen. Except for the difficulty and the time required, I've become a separatist. I'm proud of Canada's history, but Canada's future doesn't align with my vision of what's necessary to live free, healthy, and prosperously in years to come. This Albertan believes we must gain as much autonomy and financial independence from the rest of Canada as we are able, regardless of the immediate economic cost or instability it may cause.
Hello, my name is Rod. Like many people in this province, my wife and I are struggling. We're in insolvency. We can't, we're worried about our mortgage. We're worried about our insurance payments. We're worried about all the other stuff that people in this room also worry about. So what I'm asking is that we turn the gaze inward to see exactly how you can improve our base before thinking about doing anything with Confederation.
Hi there, my name's Marnie Marr. I'm an accountant and I own an accounting firm here in Airdrie. I was born and raised in Manitoba, and so about 30 years ago, when I was a teenager, we learned about equalization. And I remember at the time in Manitoba saying, but why does Alberta pay it? That makes no sense. Why do Albertans pay that? And the teacher didn't really have a good answer. He said they agreed to it, so they have to pay it. Well, I didn't agree to it. I moved here, I never agreed to that, I never picked that. I don't know why we're sticking with that. However, I understand that that requires agreement for a bunch of provinces, it requires all kinds of things. We can't do that today, that should be our long-term plan to redo equalization, but for today, there's a bunch of things we can do. We can do our own police force, we can do our own CPP plan, we can do our own everything, basically, our own medical system, we can do everything. What we need to understand here is not just can we do it and is there financial benefits and will it send a message to Ottawa, it's also about what's the service we're getting right now. And the service we're getting is bad, it's really bad. In regards to the RCMP, they get their marching orders from Ottawa. They are still doing their jobs based on what Trudeau wants to have happen. They're not doing what Albertans need. My sister lives alone on an acreage. They want to take guns away. She had 2 high crackheads come to her house in the middle of the night. What is my sister supposed to do without a rifle there? What's she going to do? We need to be able to support ourselves with what Alberta needs, not just what the government thinks that we need. Also, with the whole thing with getting our own police force, that's been done. That's done in Ontario, that's done in Newfoundland, that's done all kinds of places. There's no reason why we can't do that ourselves and make that exactly what we need when we need it. Now, secondarily, as an accountant, I deal every day with the CRA and with the CPP program and with all of these things. And I deal every day with Albertans who are going bankrupt, every day. And these people, they can't, their marriages are going down, their kids don't have houses anymore, everything's going bad for them. And the CRA calls up, a Quebec officer calls up and says, well, get them to sell some of their toys. I know what happens in Alberta. And you can't imagine the anger that I have. And I think, thank God I'm standing between these people and the CRA, because if the CRA said that to that poor person, we could have a suicide. We need better service, and Albertans would deliver it. The CPP program is also the exact same thing. All of our programs are bad, and we need to do it ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am an immigrant to Canada and to Alberta. 14 years ago, I chose to move here from Ireland with my family. And I can tell you, 14 years ago when I got my first paycheck, I was delighted to see how much money I was able to take home. And I was delighted to see what I got in return for my taxes. I cannot say the same today. Alberta is not getting a fair deal. What would a fair deal look like? A fair deal would look like a federal government that was proud of Alberta's contribution, not just to Confederation, but to the world. We would be promoting our oil and gas as the solution to problems. India would not be building coal-fired generation plants. It would be using our natural gas to uplift their standard of living. It would be proud of who we are. Unfortunately, I do not believe that Alberta can get a fair deal because of 2 things. First thing is our political system does not give us representation that is of any value. We can vote blue until we're blue in the face and it won't matter a twig. Secondly, ideologically, our federal government has sided with global activists that have decided that the problem is here and not in China and not in India and not in Nigeria, who are filthy and dirty industry, and they've sided with those globalists to destroy their own people. If this is how we're treated by our friends in Confederation, why are we staying friends with them?
My name is I want to stay. I think separating isn't a good idea. We're landlocked. We're in the middle of Canada. Things aren't rosy right now, but I believe things will get better. But Trudeau did buy us a pipeline. Him and Notley helped put it in. I also want to say that the fair deal, the last 2 times the deal was negotiated, wasn't it with Jason Kenney when he was finance minister with Harper? But yeah, separating is silly, and I think it's hurting us even talking about it. It's driving investment away. People don't want to come here and set up shop with an unstable province. I was talking about leaving.
My name is Gary Locke. I'm from Airdrie. I hate to admit that I agree with Rob Anderson, but the status quo needs to change. I hate to say, Alan Hunter, I agree with you, but I did live through the first Trudeau, and I'm going to survive the second one. But I am a proud Canadian. I love Alberta. The long-term goal that you must take is get Alberta and the rest of Western Canada a fair deal in the Senate so that we can make change. We have to make change so that we don't have to bicker over some of these little items. We should not be discussing a pipeline that goes to Quebec. This isn't about Liberal government. Every government's had the responsibility to move that pipeline to Quebec. We need to quit whining like Albertans and be part of Canada. We need to, because they're tired of listening to Albertans. We need to work together as maybe a Western province says, I don't understand how you can have half a brain and not buy Alberta product when you're buying from Saudi and Venezuela. We need to be part of Alberta. I'm proud to be Alberta, and I hope that's how you take your fight, is as Albertans and as a Canadian. Thank you very much.